What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, Crypto Warriors? It's Sergeant Crypto back at it again. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Let's get into it. We have all had a pizza day moment. What's yours? All of my stories are coming from Cointelegraph today. Shout out to Cointelegraph. So Andreas Antonopoulos tweeted today, saying a crypto holiday commemorating the first documented commercial purchase using Bitcoin. Approximately 10 years ago, programmer Laszlo Hanyecek, I hope I pronounced that right, paid 10,000 Bitcoin for two Papa John's pizza, totaling around $41 at the time. At present day valuation, 10,000 Bitcoin would be worth approximately $92.5 million. And Andreas Antonopoulos also tweeted that he also had a Bitcoin pizza moment because he spent 5 Bitcoin on 1 pound of coffee back in 2012, and he said he doesn't regret it. And you can't regret it because that's what Bitcoin is made for. Bitcoin is made to be used as a form of electronic cash. That's what it says in the white paper. And you know, somebody had to do it. If it wasn't this programmer Laszlo, it was going to be somebody else. Someone had to spend that amount of Bitcoin to get the ball rolling, to show that Bitcoin could actually be used as a form of commerce. Right? And still, Bitcoin doesn't care. It still works and appreciate in fiat value ever since then. You know, every year we see higher, not higher highs, but higher lows when it comes to Bitcoin's correction. Can't take it away from him. I know he's probably, people think that he's probably kicking himself in the butt, but if he had 10,000 Bitcoin to spend on pizza, he may have had 100,000 Bitcoin at the time. And who's to say that he wasn't mining Bitcoin on his like laptop or desktop and have hundreds of thousands, if not maybe a million, like, you know what I mean? He probably has a lot of Bitcoin, and you know, he had to use it for the community's sake, for the world's sake. Next, we've come a long way, baby. We've come a long way. 10 years later, we've come a long way. We've come so long a way that the Chinese Communist Party adds crypto to curriculum. You like that transition, right? Great segue. Back in 2017, when I first entered the space, there was a lot of noise from China saying that they were going to ban Bitcoin. And whenever China stated this, and they came out and they quote unquote banned Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, tanked. It's come basically, they did like a full 180 here. Like they are praising Bitcoin and blockchain now that they're teaching it in their Communist Party curriculum. I have some highlighted parts here. And again, Bitcoin still doesn't care. So from the origins of money to the birth of Bitcoin. So this is in a book that they pass out to Communist Party members. The book starts with the history and origin of fiat currency. Then it provides an overview of the current credit currency system and its downside. This leads to a section on the crypto movement and the birth of Bitcoin. The book continues to explore the nature and the future of digital currency and explains in detail what crypto exchanges and ICOs are. It discusses and analyzes regulation or issues surrounding these new developments. That's big. That is a big step. And China, the President Xi came out, I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before, being in the space, like everything is kind of like all melded together. But he came out and stated, and you could Google it, that China needs to be in the forefront of blockchain technology, needs to adopt it for this 21st century, moving forward to lead in a technology revolution for this 21st century. They need to adopt blockchain and AI, artificial intelligence. This is big, again, coming from the Chinese Communist Party. And here we go right here. CBDC and other forms of cryptocurrencies. A whole chapter of the book is delegated to central bank digital currencies, and it warns of the risk of super sovereign cryptocurrencies such as Libra challenging the monetary sovereignty countries with imperfect financial market infrastructure. And this again goes to show the country that adopts a cryptocurrency, or the country that adopts Bitcoin, will lead the way in this 21st century of AI and blockchain. and China is leading the way right now. And when they talk about things like Libra, and they're explaining it and the difference, between Libra and how Libra is dangerous to their sovereign currency and weak sovereign currencies around the world, speaks volumes, man. I'm like at a lost words here. Next, Russia proposes 2 million ruble fine and 7 years in jail for illegal crypto use. So meanwhile, we have one country that's adopting blockchain and is teaching their citizens, especially within the party, about blockchain and Bitcoin. We see here the other side of the spectrum where we have a country that's trying to ban Bitcoin and ban cryptocurrencies and talk about its quote unquote illegal uses and spending 7 years. What's an illegal use? Me and you having a peer-to-peer transaction, that's an illegal use that could land me 7 years in jail. Are you friggin' kidding me? And paying a 2 million ruble fine. So what's 2 million rubles, right? Let's see here. Let me close this out. 2 million rubles, about $28,000. They suggested this since 2016, and Bitcoin didn't care then, and it still doesn't care now. There are papers out there. If you do a quick Google search, you'll see that Russia actually started with this idea of punishing people from using cryptocurrencies, punishing them from 2016. So it took 4 years for them to actually come out with some kind of mandate from the time they actually started this. It shows the slow adoption to make laws in the first place. It just shows how the bureaucratic system has a flaw, because it took 4 years for them to get to this point. But now that they've gotten to this point, they're still on the wrong side of things, in my opinion, at least. If you're planning on visiting Russia, not that anybody's traveling right now anyway, but if you're planning on visiting Russia anytime soon and you want to use cryptocurrencies, make sure that you're using it, throwing up air quotes here, in the correct form and know the laws, because you could spend up to 7 years in jail. Stupid. Next, report. Square's Cash App and Grayscale consumed over 50% of Bitcoin mined in Q1 in 2020. Again, Bitcoin still doesn't care. Australian fund manager Listed Reserve tweeted a calculation based on two gross measures: Grayscale's inbound flows into its Bitcoin and Ethereum trusts in Q1, which amount to 388.9 million, and Cash App's 306 million in revenue that came from Bitcoin sales during the same period. When you have financial gurus and and regular noobs telling you to stay away from Bitcoin, ask them why. When you have a publicly traded company like Square that's going basically balls deep into Bitcoin on their Cash App, and then you have a crypto fund that bought up a third of all the Bitcoin that's been mined since the beginning of the year. Between these two companies, they bought up over half the Bitcoin mined since the beginning of the year. Remember, Bitcoin has a finite supply. There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Someone mentioned to me the other day, "Oh, you still doing that Bitcoin thing? I see you still making videos. You still doing that Bitcoin thing?" I'm like, yeah. Oh, I thought it died. I thought it lost money. Why would you still be doing that? Like, dude, watch my videos, man. All right? Watch my videos and try to learn something. I can't sit there and baby you or try to make you understand. But when you see large companies, large institutions like this buying up half of the Bitcoin that's been mined since the beginning of the year, that speaks volumes, people. That speaks volumes. Don't listen to the naysayers. Do your own research and just ask them why. Why do they think that you shouldn't be invested in crypto and Bitcoin? And I asked that person, and he's like, "Oh, because it lost money. I saw that it lost money." Well, so did the traditional market, and so did oil. Like, oil went to below zero. People are still invested in it. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense. People need to do their own research and try to understand where we are in the grand scheme of things. And when you see that big companies like these two large institution companies here that are buying up half of all Bitcoins that's been mined, freshly minted Bitcoin, that has to say a lot. Smart money. You gotta watch what the money is doing. Watch what the money is going, where the money is going, and watch what the smart money is doing. Next, digital currencies could threaten U.S. geopolitical power, warns J.P. Morgan. Back in, say, 2010, 2011, when I first heard of Bitcoin, when I was still in the Marine Corps Reserves. My cousin mentioned to me, yo, you ever heard of this Bitcoin thing? I looked it up. I remember seeing like either something on, Google. I did a quick Google search pretty much, and seeing an article from JP Morgan saying that, oh, it's a scam. Seeing newsreels from CNBC, Fox Business News, Bloomberg saying that it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme. But now, all right, not only, but more than like 5 years later, because we see like 2010, 2008, basically 10 years later, 9 years later, or 10 years later, I should say, we see that they came around and they know what Bitcoin is, or so they're claiming now. I even remember back in 2017, but right before I got into Bitcoin fully, JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, coming out and saying that it's a scam and that he will fire anyone that works for him personally, fire them if they trade a Bitcoin on their own personal time, not the company's time, on their own personal time. He will fire them. Meanwhile, his European part of JP Morgan was buying up Bitcoin. But here it is. They came around and they're warning that cryptocurrencies can threaten the US dollar. They're starting to get the picture. Bitcoin still doesn't care. There's no country with more to lose from the disruptive potential of their digital currency than the United States. This revolves primarily around US dollar hegemony. Issuing the global reserve currency and the medium of exchange for international trade in commodities, goods, and services conveys immense advantages. That's what the US dollar is used for. It's not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold or anything like that. Okay? It's backed by the military. And if you want to buy commodities out in the open markets, oil, if you want to trade in oil or anything pretty much on a nation state level, you have to use the US dollar. And this is why the US dollar is the strongest currency in the world. It's the reserve currency of the world. Just like Bitcoin is the reserve currency of cryptocurrencies. If you want to trade in and out of any other crypto, first have to buy Bitcoin. So it's the same thing. Do trade on a nation state level. The common currency that's used worldwide is the US dollar. And JP Morgan is warning against it. They came around. Next. Don't buy Bitcoin, says wealth exec, as Lebanon chooses Bitcoin over fiat. So we have this investor or a financial guru here saying that Bitcoin is not what young investors should buy after the coronavirus crash, says the man who once said that the biggest cryptocurrency faces an inevitable death spiral. First of all, Bitcoin doesn't care, again. Second, when Bitcoin have a huge drawdown, it sets higher lows chart-wise. So every year when Bitcoin drops, not every year, but during every bull run, bull cycle, and bear cycle, whenever Bitcoin loses 50, 80%, it always sets a higher low. Except for 1 year, and I think that 1 year was 2015. Again, DYOR, do your own research. So this guy's name is Maluk. Even Maluk himself appeared to doubt the appeal of his own advice. While recommended buying bonds, he could not avoid mentioning the amount of blind faith required in the issuer. So he himself doesn't believe in his own nonsense and saying that we should have blind faith in the issuers of these bonds right now in this climate of negative interest rates and zero interest rates. I'm going to buy government bonds knowing that I'm not going to be getting a return. That's nonsense. Total nonsense. Here it is. Asset-wise, we have month to date, quarter to date, year to date. Bitcoin has been outperforming every other asset there is, point blank, period. So the Lebanese people voted. Lay customers have once again been voting against fiat investment en masse and in favor of Bitcoin this week. According to a survey of Lebanese residents currently circulating on Twitter, 57.5% of the 6,661 responders would prefer to receive their salary in Bitcoin. Tyler Winklevoss of Gemini is sounding the alarm over government's buying gold strategy. The Bank of England blocking access to Venezuela's reserves may cause some governments to rethink their gold strategy, he argued on Thursday. And if you don't know, the Bank of England was holding gold for Venezuela in their vaults. Sometime late last year in 2019, Venezuela pretty much asked for their gold back, and England said no. So they basically bullied them and stole their gold from them. And we saw that earlier this week, there were articles saying that Venezuela is suing the Bank of England. Just like how it is on the exchanges, not your keys, not your coins. It's the same thing with gold. If you're not physically holding it yourself, it ain't your gold. Maluk, meanwhile, is convinced that Bitcoin will fail. In December 2018, around the time that Bitcoin hit lows of 3,100, he said that Bitcoin is dead. And we've heard this narrative before of how many times Bitcoin has died. There's an actual website out there about Bitcoin dying. And Bitcoin has died over, I don't know, 300 times already. Bitcoin isn't going anywhere, people. When you're thinking about if you're thinking about owning gold, make sure you have it on your person or in your own safe, not in a bank vault, not being held by some quote unquote trusted third party. You hold it yourself, just like Bitcoin. Hold it yourself. And Sergeant Crypto, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Leave some comments, share this video, like this video, and let's discuss it, man. All these different topics that I covered today. It's Sergeant Crypto, and I'm out. Peace.